In the kingdom of Eldoria, nestled between towering mountains and endless forests, dragons were feared and hunted. Legends spoke of their fiery breath and their thirst for destruction. But what the people did not know was that dragons had a secret, one only a special soul could uncover. Lena had restored peace between humans and dragons, but peace is fragile. Not everyone in the kingdom welcomed the change. In the shadows, a group of dragon hunters, led by a ruthless warrior named Lord Vareth, plotted to destroy the dragons once and for all. A warning from the skies. One night, as Lena stood on the balcony of the royal palace, Xiron swooped down, his golden eyes filled with urgency. Lena, danger approaches. I heard whispers in the wind, a great army is preparing to attack. Lena's heart tightened. Who would break the peace? Lord Vareth, Xiron growled. He and his hunters have gathered weapons unlike any we have seen before. They carry arrows laced with dark magic. They mean to end us. Lena knew she had to act fast. A kingdom divided. Lena rushed to the king's chamber. Your Majesty, we must prepare. Lord Vareth plans to attack the dragons. The king sighed. Many still fear the dragons. Vareth has convinced them that they are only waiting to strike. That's a lie. We cannot let this war begin again. The king looked at Lena with sorrow. Then you must stop it. Dragon speaker. Lena knew what she had to do. She needed to unite dragons and humans against a greater enemy, fear itself. The battle for peace. Lena rode on Xiron's back, flying toward the Dragonlands. The sky darkened as they arrived. Hundreds of dragons had gathered, their wings blocking out the moonlight. My friends, Lena called, the hunters come, but we must not fight with hatred. We must defend ourselves without becoming the monsters they believe us to be. A deep voice rumbled from the largest dragon, an elder named Ignis. We trust you, Lena, let us. As dawn broke, Lord Vareth's army marched toward the mountains, armed with enchanted weapons. The battle began. Arrows flew, but the dragons dodged with swift movements. Xiron led them, using fire not to kill but to create walls of flame, blocking the enemy's path. Lena stood at the center, using her voice to calm the chaos. Stop this war. The dragons do not seek destruction. They only fight because you force them to. But Vareth sneered. You have been deceived. Goril. He raised his bow, aiming at Xiron. Before he could fire, Lena stepped in front of the dragon. If you want to kill him, you must kill me first. Vareth hesitated. The warriors behind him lowered their weapons. The sight of a young girl protecting a dragon with her own life shattered their fear. The battle was over before it truly began. A new dawn. Lord Vareth was banished, and the peace between dragons and humans was stronger than ever. The people now saw dragons as allies, not enemies. Lena had not just spoken to dragons, she had spoken to the hearts of all. Years later, she became a legend, known as Lena the Peacemaker, the girl who taught the world that courage and understanding could defeat even the darkest fears. And so, the dragons and humans lived in harmony, their stories passed down for generations. The end, or perhaps, the beginning of another adventure. That special soul was Lena, a simple village girl with an extraordinary gift. A voice in the forest. Lena had always felt different. While other children played in the fields, she wandered deep into the woods, listening to the rustling leaves and the whispering winds. One evening, as she sat by the river, she heard something unusual, a voice, low and ancient. Help me. Lena's heart pounded. She followed the voice through the thick mist, until she reached a clearing where a massive dragon lay, its wing injured and its golden eyes filled with pain. Instead of fear, Lena felt something else, compassion. She stepped closer and whispered, I will help you. To her astonishment, the dragon's eyes widened. You can understand me? She nodded. Yes. The dragon's secret. The dragon, who introduced himself as Xiron, told Lena the truth. We dragons do not seek war. We once lived in harmony with humans, but fear turned us into enemies. As Lena cleaned his wound, she listened carefully. She realized the dragons were misunderstood, hunted for crimes they never committed. I must tell the kingdom, she said. We can stop this war. But Xiron shook his head. They will not listen to a dragon. Lena clenched her fists. Then they will listen to me. The kingdom's judgment. With Xiron by her side, Lena returned to the kingdom. The villagers gasped, running for shelter. The king's guards surrounded them, swords raised. Do not fear, Lena shouted. This dragon is not our enemy. None of them are. The king stepped forward, and why should we believe you, girl? Lena took a deep breath and spoke in the ancient language of dragons, a tongue long forgotten. The king's eyes widened. You understand them? Yes, Lena said, and I can prove that they only seek peace. The king hesitated, then nodded. Show me. The truth revealed. Lena led the king and his knights to the mountains, where the dragons lived, but instead of a battlefield, they found something unexpected: dragons tending to their young, sharing food, and healing each other's wounds. They are not monsters, Lena said, they are just like us. The king lowered his sword. He saw the truth, and so did his people. That day, a peace treaty was formed between humans and dragons. No longer were they enemies, but allies, and at the heart of it all was a brave girl who dared to listen. A legend begins. Years later, Lena became the kingdom's first dragon speaker, a guardian of peace between the two worlds. Stories of her courage spread across the land, inspiring generations. And so, the girl who spoke to dragons changed history forever. Moral of the story: true understanding can break even the deepest fears. Sometimes, listening is the most powerful magic of all. Would you like me to add anything or make changes? The rising storm. The return of the Shadow Drake. Years had passed since Lena defeated the Shadow Drake. She was no longer just the dragon speaker, she was a legend. The kingdom flourished in peace, and dragons and humans lived side by side. But peace is never eternal. One night, as a cold wind swept through the palace, Lena stood on the balcony of her tower. Xiron, now older but still powerful, landed beside her. His golden eyes reflected worry. Lena, the balance is shifting. A new force is rising, and I fear we may not be strong enough to stop it. Lena's heart clenched. She had spent her life protecting this peace, but she knew the truth: one day, she would no longer be able to fight. She needed a successor. And she already knew who it had to be. A young prodigy. In a small village at the kingdom's edge lived a girl named Kayla. Unlike other children, Kayla had always been drawn to dragons. She spoke to them in whispers, mimicking their growls and chirps. One day, while tending to the village gardens, she saw a massive shadow pass over her. She looked up. Xiron was descending. And on his back sat Lena, the dragon speaker. Kayla's heart pounded. She's real, she whispered. Lena stepped down and smiled. I've come to find the one who will take my place. Kayla's eyes widened. Me? But I'm just a village girl. Lena placed a hand on her shoulder. So was I. The trials of the speaker. Becoming the dragon speaker was not easy. Lena took Kayla to the Skirich Mountains, where the eldest dragons resided. To speak to dragons, you must first listen, Lena instructed. Kayla spent months learning. She studied the ancient symbols of dragonkind, meditated with Xiron, and even survived the trial of fire, where she walked through a dragon's flames unharmed, proving her heart was pure. But the hardest test was yet to come. The Storm Bringer. One evening, a dark cloud gathered over the kingdom, but this was no ordinary storm. The wind howled with words, a language long forgotten. Xiron's wings trembled. It is him, the Stormbringer. Lena's face paled. Legends spoke of a dragon as old as the world itself, one who controlled storms, lightning, and the fury of nature. Kayla clenched her fists. We have to stop him. Lena nodded. This will be your final test. Kayla, the kingdom's fate rests in your hands. A voice in the tempest. As the Stormbringer descended, the sky turned black. Lightning crackled across his massive wings. His voice boomed like thunder. The world has grown weak. It is time for a great cleansing. Lena and Xiron prepared to fight, but Kayla stepped forward. Wait, she called. The Stormbringer turned his glowing blue eyes toward her. Why do you wish to destroy us? She asked, her voice steady. The great dragon sneered. Because your kind forgets, you break promises, you turn on each other. I have seen it happen for centuries. Kayla took a deep breath. Then let me prove you wrong. She closed her eyes and began to speak, not in words, but in song, the oldest form of dragon speech. Her voice wove through the storm, calming the winds, quieting the thunder. The Stormbringer hesitated. For the first time in millennia, he listened. And then, with a final gust of wind, he vanished, not defeated, but at peace. Kayla had passed the final test. The legacy continues. As the sun rose over the kingdom, Lena turned to Kayla with pride. You are ready. Kayla, now the new dragon speaker, stood tall. She knew this was just the beginning. For as long as dragons soared and humans walked the earth, the dragon speaker's voice would be needed. And so, a new legend was born. The end, for now. Peace had reigned for years between humans and dragons, but deep beneath the earth, something ancient was stirring. A force older than the kingdom itself, a creature that even dragons feared, was about to awaken. Lena, now a wise young woman and the kingdom's dragon speaker, sensed it before anyone else. A strange darkness crept into her dreams, filled with whispers in a forgotten language. One night, Xiron landed beside her on the castle's balcony. Lena, something is wrong. The dragons feel it. The earth trembles beneath our nests. Lena placed a hand on his scales. We must find the source before it's too late. The Forgotten Temple. Guided by her visions, Lena and Xiron journeyed beyond the kingdom, deep into the Eclipse Mountains, where no human had ever dared to go. They found an ancient temple, its walls covered in carvings of dragons battling a monstrous being, a shadow drake, larger than any dragon that had ever lived. At the heart of the temple lay a massive stone door, pulsing with dark energy. As Lena stepped closer, the voice from her dreams whispered once more, "You cannot stop what has already begun." With a deafening crack, the stone door shattered. From the darkness beyond, two glowing red eyes opened. The shadow drake had returned. The creature of darkness. The ground shook as the ancient beast emerged. It was unlike any dragon Lena had seen. Its body was covered in black smoke, its wings stretched wide enough to block out the sun. "The age of dragons and men is over," the shadow drake growled. "Only darkness shall remain." Xiron lunged at the creature, but his fire had no effect. The shadow drake was not of this world, it was a being of pure darkness, feeding on fear itself. Lena knew she had to find another way. The lost magic. In the temple ruins, Lena discovered an ancient inscription. Darkness cannot be slain by fire or steel, it can only be undone by the voice that speaks to all. She understood. The shadow drake thrived on fear, so she had to take its power away. Standing tall, she raised her voice, not in battle, but in harmony. She spoke in the language of dragons, calling on all creatures of the land to unite. From every direction, dragons arrived, their roars merging into a single, powerful song. The wind carried their voices, filling the air with hope instead of fear. The shadow drake screeched as its form began to waver. Without fear to feed on, it could not exist. With one final cry, it vanished into the wind, leaving only silence behind. A new era. Lena and Xiron returned to the kingdom as heroes. But Lena knew this was not just her victory, it was proof that understanding and unity were stronger than darkness itself. Kayla's first flight. The winds carried the echoes of Kayla's triumph, but a new journey had only just begun. As the new dragon speaker, she had much to learn, and Lena was determined to prepare her for what lay ahead. "Speaking to dragons is only the first step," Lena said as they stood atop the cliffs of Skirich. "Now, you must learn to fly." Kayla glanced at Xiron, whose golden scales gleamed in the morning sun. "I've never ridden a dragon before." Xiron let out a deep chuckle. "Then hold on tight, little speaker." A ride among the clouds. Kayla climbed onto Xiron's back, her heart pounding. Lena watched with a knowing smile as Xiron spread his enormous wings and leaped off the cliff. The wind howled past Kayla's ears as they soared higher and higher. At first, she clung to Xiron's scales, but soon she realized she could feel his movements, anticipate the shifts in the wind. She wasn't just riding him, she was flying with him. As they glided above the kingdom, Xiron spoke, "You are ready for your first mission." Kayla's eyes widened. "A mission? Already?" Xiron's tone grew serious. "A young dragon has gone missing in the Shadowlands. We must find him before it's too late." The Shadowlands. That night, Kayla and Xiron journeyed beyond the borders of the kingdom, where few dared to travel. The Shadowlands were a place of mystery, dark forests, ancient ruins, and whispers of forgotten creatures. As they landed near a crumbling temple, Kayla closed her eyes and listened. A faint cry echoed through the trees. "He's close," she whispered. But they were not alone. A pair of glowing red eyes appeared in the darkness, then another, and another. From the shadows emerged the Nightfangs, creatures neither dragon nor beast, with razor-sharp claws and venomous fangs. Kayla's breath caught in her throat. "What are they?" Xiron growled. "The Cursed Ones, dragons who lost themselves to darkness." The Nightfangs surrounded them, their growls vibrating in the air. Kayla knew they had only one choice. They had to fight. The battle begins. Xiron unleashed a powerful blast of fire, but the Nightfangs were fast, dodging through the shadows. Kayla steadied herself and spoke in the ancient tongue of dragons. Stand down, lost ones, you do not have to fight. For a moment, the Nightfangs hesitated, but then the largest one roared, lunging toward Kayla. She raised her hands and let out a single, commanding word, enough. A wave of golden energy burst from her, sending the creatures reeling. The air grew still. The Nightfangs, instead of attacking, slowly backed away into the darkness. Xiron turned to her, his eyes full of wonder. You calmed them. Kayla let out a shaky breath. I think I'm starting to understand my power. From the shadows, a small dragon emerged, scared but unharmed. Kayla knelt down, reaching out a hand. You're safe now, she said softly. The young dragon chirped and nudged her palm, grateful for the rescue. A new path. As they returned to the kingdom, Lena met them at the palace gates. You handled yourself well, she said, pride in her voice. Kayla smiled. I still have much to learn. Lena nodded. And I still have much to teach. But deep down, Kayla knew this was only the beginning. The dragon speaker's journey was far from over. Would you like the next part to explore a new villain, a hidden dragon civilization, or a test of Kayla's power? Let me know. The Whispering Flames. Kayla had barely rested after rescuing the young dragon from the Shadowlands when a new vision disturbed her sleep. In her dream, golden flames flickered in the darkness, whispering ancient words she could not understand. A deep voice rumbled through her mind. The balance is shifting. A storm is coming. Find the Keeper of Fire before it's too late. Kayla woke with a gasp, her heart pounding. Xiron, curled beside her, lifted his massive head. Another vision? He asked. She nodded. Someone or something is calling for help. Lena entered the chamber, her expression grim. Then we must act quickly. The Keeper of Fire has not been seen for decades. Kayla frowned. Who is the Keeper of Fire? Lena's eyes darkened. The guardian of dragon magic. If he is lost, the fire that gives dragons their power could disappear forever. The journey to the Ember Caves. Following Kayla's visions, she and Xiron flew toward the Ember Caves, an ancient volcanic region at the edge of the world. The closer they got, the heavier the air became. Ash drifted like snowflakes, and the sky glowed with the distant light of molten rock. But something was wrong. The once mighty volcanoes were silent. No lava flowed, no smoke rose. The heart of dragonfire was fading. We're too late, Xiron murmured. Kayla clenched her fists. Not yet. The Guardian's trial. They landed at the entrance of the deepest cave, where ancient carvings covered the walls. As Kayla placed her hand on the stone, the ground trembled, and a low voice filled the air. Prove yourself, Dragon Speaker. Flames erupted around them, forming a fiery corridor, a path forward, but one filled with danger. Kayla stepped forward, but the fire flared, blocking her way. Lena's voice echoed in her mind. The fire does not burn those who understand its language. Taking a deep breath, Kayla reached out, not with fear, but with trust. The fire curled around her fingertips, warm but not painful. She whispered in the tongue of dragons, I seek the Keeper. The flames parted, revealing a glowing figure in the center of the cavern, a great dragon with scales of molten golden eyes like burning embers. The Keeper of Fire. A dark warning. The ancient dragon studied Kayla, then spoke. The balance is broken. A force stirs in the shadows, seeking to extinguish all dragonkind. Kayla swallowed hard. What can we do? The Keeper's gaze darkened. To restore the flames, you must find the lost heart of the first dragon, but beware others seek it too. A distant roar echoed through the cave. Kayla turned just in time to see dark shapes approaching in the sky. The Shadowborn had arrived,